The promotion for The Mandalorian and Grogu has been absolutely atrocious, unbelievably bad for Star Wars and making fans sad. Now they know pretty much what's in the movie. And it comes from Pedro, from KK, and from more. But what if we told you now? Fans are already shutting the door, and critics may be too. Predictions very low for the Rotten Tomatoes score. We'll show you the latest on Pedro, KK, Filoni, and the failure of a Star Wars franchise under their control. What a day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming our way. Welcome back to Somewhere Sunny USA, where the studio is glistening because you're listening to what we have to say, and it's appreciated. Everybody counts. You're a gigawatt around here. Click that like button. Let's dive into the latest fiasco for Mando right now. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at what we got right here. Kathleen Kennedy and Pedro Pascal, a duo that destroyed any enthusiasm for The Mandalorian. And to figure this out, we have to go back to March. I want to show you how even as Kathy was exiting Lucasfilm, they were destroying the box office for Mando. Variety was covering this, and we're going to get down to the quote that started killing the entire effort. Kathleen Kennedy, by Matt Donnelly, on Lucasfilm handoff, AI boundaries, and the one power Grogu won't have in the new Mandalorian movie. Now, we're going to just skip on down to what we need. Kathleen Kennedy, venerable filmmaker, prolific producer, blah, 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 blah. Sound helps root the story, blah, blah. She got an award for, like, sound or something. Nobody cares. I've been incredibly lucky. Steve and I spent so much time together on ET. Here's what we need.
Exactly how he likes his coffee.
Backstage, Kennedy spoke with Variety about the upcoming May release of The Mandalorian and Grogu. 2 months ago, she was doing this, which she greenlit. And she also serves as producer. Asked what it was like the first time she heard Grogu speak, she shared that the little green guy is, quote, another perfect example of a character that has to emote and you have to feel connected to, and he never speaks a word. Kennedy said audiences will fall deeper in love with the popular character on the big screen, and he never says a word. She confirmed that despite Yoda's oft-quoted broken English, Grogu will not gain the power of speech in the new film. This was the beginning of them dismissing any hope for character growth or change. And these things are not hard, folks. I'm telling you, this is 101 on how not to promote a film. Pedro Pascal came in later on. May 15th, Pedro says he wants to keep playing The Mandalorian as long as fans want him. Now, why would you not say this, okay? Everybody knows the answer to this. Let's read it real quick. And by the way, shout out to Clara Migliardo for writing this for spoiler.bollavip.com. Never been here before, but happy to be here. Says Pedro is not ready to walk away from the galaxy far, far away anytime soon. In a recent interview with Discussing Film, the actor spoke about his long-term hopes for Mandalorian, making it clear he would gladly continue to play the role if viewers still want the character around. The comments arrive as Lucasfilm prepares to bring the TV phenom to theaters with The Mandalorian and Grogu. Quote, whatever my body can do and however long people want to experience these characters is how long I want it to last.
I'm sorry, whatever his body can do? When's the last time he wore the suit during production of this show? He's a glorified voice actor.
It's hard to be a voice actor, Marv. The work it does on your shoulders, it's unbelievable.
I could have sworn I saw a quote from him that says, like, as long as I'm able to do it or the person who's in the suit is able to do it.
Right,
I could have sworn I saw a quote like that from him.
So here's the deal. This is 101, okay? When Kathy comes out and says Grogu's not going to speak, what does that tell us? We don't even get a da-da. We don't even get anything, right? The Force. We don't get anything. And that's all that tension's taken out then, okay? Then Pedro comes out and adds to it, I'm going to keep on playing this guy because my character doesn't die. The entire lead up to this, and I can go on. Dave Filoni has been involved in this, talking about how, well, we wanted this to live on its own and be separate from everything. And you need to come into it. You don't have to watch The Mandalorian at all. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. They have intentionally, going into this movie, they have removed all the stakes every step of the way. They have made sure that we know nothing bad is going to happen. No character development is going to go on. We're going nowhere with this one. Lauren, you're the guru of Star Wars for the world, a gift to us. I want to turn to you. What do you make of how they have promoted this film? Is it terrible, or am I missing something? Maybe you say, well, Pro, They need to let people know this is not going to damage Star Wars The Mandalorian.
No, they don't. That's the whole point of a story, is that you're trying to figure out what the actual arc is. That's the journey. You go to a movie to experience the journey, not to know what the end point is before you've even seen it. Their entire marketing campaign for this entire thing, with the exception, I think, of when Jon Favreau was having people show up to show them the props at the Quonset huts where they were shooting, that, I think, was fairly effective. The rest of it has been garbage. They have mismanaged this entire promotional campaign for this movie.
Super Bowl ad 2 clearly approved under Kathleen Kennedy while she was there.
Yeah. They had one decent trailer for this movie. It was the one that they never actually released. It was shown at Star Wars Celebration. Why they didn't show that trailer, I have no idea. I don't get what they were thinking here. But what I'm reading it as is, I think that they've been really spooked even before they got to the box office numbers for this movie. I think they were spooked by The Acolyte. I think they were spooked by how negative the coverage of the sequel trilogy has gone. I think they decided they wanted to play this movie as safe as humanly possible. And weirdly, that's also the wrong move. I don't know how they choose to make the wrong move every single time, but they do.
They do. There's no doubt about it. Wiz, there are no stakes anymore. We know, and it's not, we didn't spoil this. They spoiled it. Mando's not going to die. He's going to keep going on. He's going to stay with Grogu. We know Grogu's not going to say a single word. We know that this has nothing to do with anything related beyond the story that it exists in. We essentially know that nobody's going to show up that matters. Like, there are no big cameos. All this has been spoiled by them. So, Wiz, what are they trying to tank the box office? I don't get it.
No, I think this was a calculated decision, but boy, they are bad at math because they think that by making this easy for anybody to walk into, you don't need to have watched the Disney Plus stuff. You don't need to do all the homework. You don't need to have read any books. You could just walk in off the street and kids are going to love it. In fact, they're not only are they playing this that anybody can watch it, anybody can consume this, but it's also an attempt to introduce these characters to Gen Alpha, which is a demographic that Disney is having a terribly challenging time of appealing to. And for Star Wars to continue, they can't just sell it to the Disney adults. They eventually need to capture the kids as customers, as parties that are interested in Star Wars. So they have to do something to try to capture them, and they got to do it now. That's why, there's 10 minutes of Mandalorian and Grogu footage available for you to watch in Fortnite, I think, right now. Like, as we're talking about this, you could see the first 10 minutes of the film in Fortnite because that's where the kids are, and that's where they need to try and get kids interested to go with mom and dad to see this. But there are no stakes, and that's a massive problem. They could have and probably should have treated this like, okay, we're gonna come into this as its own thing, but at least do something to hint at or to, not as a setup per se, because I do like the idea of having a beginning and an ending, but it's got to have some kind of meaning behind it. You got to have a reason to actually go see the thing. And right now, there's no reason to see this because I know it's going to end the same way that Mando 3 did. It might as well just like be an in between. It's gonna start with Mando on the farm. It's gonna end with Mando on the farm. That's it. This is using the more leftovers from Filoni's Clone Wars that most of the audience and most of you at home aren't even going to recognize. And for those of us that do recognize it, maybe Lauren aside, Lauren might say something different. I don't care. I recognize it, and I don't care.
So I've noticed with Disney Star Wars, you got one of two things. Either it's a movie that takes absolutely no risks and plays it entirely safe to the point where it actually, gives something very milquetoast and bland, or it takes a wrecking ball to George Lucas's lore and just goes. There's one of the two extremes. There's no one can ever meet in the middle. It's either The Force Awakens and Skeleton Crew, or it's The Last Jedi and The Acolyte. And this seems to be on The Force Awakens side.
I didn't know this. You got maybe the panel is just smarter than I am about this. I cover entertainment all the time. I had no idea that there was like Polymarket kind of for Rotten Tomatoes, and that people are guessing and measuring based on social media responses what the Rotten Tomato score is going to be. Did anybody know this? Have I been
That's
clued?
funny.
I've
Well, I've got it right now.
I've been trying to guess what I think it was going to be.
According to reading the tea leaves of the social media, what should we say here? Reactions, but they're still embargoed. Kalshi's Rotten Tomato forecast, which looks at all of the social media responses and gauges positive to negative as best they can tell, is predicting based on all of the reactions that this thing's going to open to a 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I don't know.
Is this forecasting the critic score or the audience score?
Critic score.
Okay.
And it's all critic score.
I don't think there's a chance that it's that low.
I'm
I don't
against this. I'm making lots of money. I know that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I said 96 for the critics.
Oh,
I think
no.
I think the Access show.
I think it's got to be in the 90s.
Really?
I'm with Marv. I think it's
You
going to be in
think-
the 90s.
you
They're
think-
already astroturfing this.
You think what they're going to do is they're going to give a very mid review, but then give it the tomato instead of the splat. After you read it and go, boy, they hate this thing. And then you get to the end, they're like, but overall, it's an okay movie. So tomato.
They're gonna say like, yeah, it wasn't bad, and then that's gonna be a positive.
If the trades are responding to us in like retaliation articles, somebody's got the heads up.
I had no, this has got to be, folks, this has got to be a parody. This can't be real. News, sports, 2026 primaries, markets featured. There is a forecast for the Rotten. This can't be real.
Look, the praise that we are hearing
can't
about
be
the movie
real.
so far is that it's inoffensive. When that's the best thing that you can say about a movie, that's really, really bad.
I'm just happy that there's a pre-market betting system for Rotten Tomato scores. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the, like, this is real. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. Andy, Steph, your thoughts. What do you say? Is this thing going to open up despite the marketing, despite Kathleen Kennedy, despite Pedro, despite Dave? Does it get a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes because Hollywood says this can't fail?
I mean, I've seen some of the early critic reviews on Hollywood Reporter, and they're all saying you can throw the lore out the window. You can have fun with it. Don't think about it too much. You'll have fun with it. Lower your expectations, and it's a good movie. So if they give reviews like that and then give it a high Rotten Tomato score, I won't be shocked, because I mean that's pretty much what they do. But I would say that, like, maybe I don't know about the 90s Rotten Tomato score, maybe like the upper 80s, like an 88 or something, but not a 90. There's no way.
I just want everybody to know this is real. Kalshi News is a real place for polling and betting, and it's real. And they're doing, like, the primaries for Massey, right? For Thomas Massey, and this is real.
I could see them going 80. I think they'll try and split the baby by 80. I think is
now I'm looking forward to going to the movie. Really, he's gonna force undisembowel himself.
Isn't that what the Empire tried to do with him?
Andy, what if it's so bad? What if it's actually so bad they can't?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It would take, even if it's horrible, they would still give it like a 75 to 80 because they just don't want to lose the access. They like being the one that everybody goes to in Hollywood, the one that everyone in Hollywood goes to that says, look, Rotten Tomatoes gave us this score. Is it real? Like, if it were real, then like Blaine wouldn't have made Criticless because people would have trusted Rotten Tomatoes. So that's
right. And I totally agree. But what if, just play along, folks, what if it's Snow White bad? They would have loved to have defended Snow White. They couldn't. They had to bail. They had to pull the ripcord and say, we can't.
I don't think it's going to be that offensively bad. I think it's going to be...
Because Favreau made it, yeah.
I think it's going to be very meh. I think it's going to be completely, like, I don't think it's going to be offensive in any way. I think it's just going to be like, yeah, it was like a couple episodes of the TV show, and it happened. And, you won't be, like, unhappy. but you won't be happy.
I will
like
be.
maybe an 80, like an 88, high 80s, because they still need to glaze, Favreau and Pedro Pascal. Like we have to glaze their reputations.
Well,
and
Pedro came out as gay in the last week or so he's Teflon right now.
Did he?
Oh yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, he smooched Colbert right on the lips, and he's got a boy toy in Spain now. That he's been, toying around with in Spain. I don't know if he came out and said, "Hey, boys and girls, I'm, I'm swinging in this way," but
I got to say, I think you're being kinder to Favreau than we need to be. Yeah, I do. I'm at a point where I'm not willing to give him cover anymore either.
I'll tell you why I'm being kind to him, okay? I'm being kind to Favreau because he didn't write the script. He is credited as having written the script because he wrote season 4. Filoni and some other guy that I can't remember came in and adapted this for the film and then readapted the script again to strip out all references to other Star Wars stuff. And the reason I'm being kind to Favreau is he didn't write the story. If it's a horrible, terrible, boring story, but executed as well as you could, then I'm sitting here saying, I don't know what we do with this other than say Filoni is off his rocker.
Look, I get your point, but I feel like there was a point, even if he's under contract, where you created this. You made it a phenomenon. There was a point at which he could have put his foot down and said, no, you're not going to do what you're planning to do. And he did not do that. And he has continued to be the company man, which I understand from a certain standpoint. But at this point, he has buried his baby. And I think at a certain point, you needed to stand on principle and say, I'm not going to do this.
Well, now, wait a minute, Lauren, because let me push back one more time. And you may beat me, okay? Because when we go head to head intellectually, sometimes you're the kind of guy who can make me see the light. But Lauren, I watched what Favreau said, and it dawned on me, because I've been wondering the same thing you've been wondering now for years. Why does he subject himself? This is a guy who has one of the most financially profitable films of all time. He has one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time. He created the MCU. Don't let Kevin Feige tell you otherwise. Why would he subject himself to being directed by Kathleen Kennedy and controlled by a guy who's never really put out a film in reality in Filoni? Why would he do this? Why would Spielberg allow himself to be told what to do by somebody lesser than, right? Okay. And then I watched what he said before the premiere, and the light bulb went off. Favreau is doing what he's doing, I believe, because this is the thing he loves from his father. This is why he got into cinema. And I think he's trying to save it, and I think he's been subverted the whole way. But this is why. I'll play it. We played it before. We'll play it one more time. Here's Favreau talking about why the heck he made the movie.
Across the world that George Lucas created, we're still telling Star Wars stories. The baton has been passed down to other filmmakers, but here we are. Hopefully we'll get some of that magic and some of that energy here. And I also want to say a big special thank you, because back 49 years ago, I got to see Star Wars when I was 10 years old, and that movie changed my life from that first shot. And my dad took me to see it. I sat by his side. He pointed things out, explained to me how cool it was that the X-Wings had oil stains. He later taught me about Kurosawa and all the influences, Hidden Fortress, all the influences. And opened the door for me to love not just Star Wars, but cinema. And I sat by my dad's side 49 years ago watching Star Wars the first time, and tonight I'm getting to sit next to my dad and watch this movie.
So, Lauren, my thesis on why Favreau has allowed himself to be subjected to all this, I think the reason he called Disney and said, I think I can help you with this back in 2018, 2019, I think the reason he did it is I think he's trying to save a memory with his dad. I think this is a foundational thing for him. I think he loves it the way that other people love it, and he's been trying to save it, and unsuccessfully because he's had people in his way.
I agree with you. I think that The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 showed that he was a fan and that he knew what he was talking about and he knew what he was doing. I have been able to forgive him for the Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian Season 3 because I think that what happened with Gina forced them onto a timeline where control was taken away from him and he did not have a choice. And I think Season 3 showed them this was not the way, if you'll pardon me borrowing the phrase. The movie was the chance to correct. And you're telling me they took it away from him, they wrote it fine. At a certain point, you've got to put your foot down and say, we tried it your way. You sabotaged the arc that we were setting up. If you're going to continue down this path, I'm not going to market it. I'm not going to attach my name to it. This is not my name. This is not my movie. This is not my story. And he didn't do that. That's why I'm no longer willing to give him any more rope. He's had a chance to throw his weight down onto the table. And he may have lost, but he didn't. He played ball.
And now, folks, it's up to you. Tell us in the chat, tell us in the comments. Where's that at? Where do you see the truth lie? Lauren, my side a little bit different, but folks, we all agree something went deeply wrong. Tell us down below who holds most of the blame. And I know you're all going to say KK, but then besides that, who holds most of the blame? We'll see what you have to say. Good night, game over, drive home safely. Folks, this video is done. But before we all head home, we only ask one thing. Folks, as you get ready to head on out, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below and share your thoughts, for a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Waste not that beautiful personality of yours. And folks, we would say as you get ready to head out the door, that it has been an honor to spend time with you, an attitude of gratitude each and every time that you elect to join together with us. Breaking bread and breaking entertainment, well, the industry. No, we like entertainment. It's the industry that irks us sometimes. Well, it was a good time. We hope you had a good time. Folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.